Hello and welcome to our second installment of Enter the Metaverse. Glad to be with you today. My name is Ray. I am the CEO of Enklu, and today we're going to be continuing our series where we dissect Metaverse concepts and give you an insider's lens on how to create, play, and share in the Metaverse. Today we'll be taking a more practical view on the Metaverse with a workflow walkthrough, starting with Unity and ending with a live NFT that you're going to be able to host and share with other metaverses in Unity projects and on the web and mobile. So you can follow along today live, or if you're following along later on YouTube, on a recorded version. If you'd like to follow along today, there's a couple of things you're going to need to get started with. First, we're going to be working with Unity version 2019.4.17F1. You can download this from the download archive right here. I'm going to copy and paste this link into chat so you can have access to it. Then you'll want to install Enklu Embedded. There's a how-to doc in the link I'm sharing right now that'll get you set up. Enklu Embedded is going to allow you to embed your real-time NFTs within other Enklu projects and Unity scenes. And then you'll also want to get started with a free trial. All the folks that are getting started today can get up with a free trial in Enklu, no cost. So I'm going to post all of these links right now. Go ahead and get started on those. Some of the downloads might take a little bit of time. And if we go too fast, that's okay. You'll have the recorded version afterwards. So while some folks are getting started with that, let's start off with a brief agenda. So today we're going to create a live NFT, discuss what that means. We're going to prep it for the web. We're going to host it on Enklu, and then we're going to embed your 3D NFT in other Unity metaverses. Then we're going to bring it to life with lighting and animation, and then we'll make it so you can access this NFT on mobile. So there's a lot to cover today. I'm going to dive right in. That's the wrong one, so I'm going to go ahead and share another screen. Okay, so starting with downloading Unity from the Unity archive. This is the version you're going to want to go after down here. I'm not going to download it right now, but this is a link you're going to want to use. Download it, set it up, install it. Once you've got Unity up and running, this should seem like a pretty familiar scene for you. If you've never used Unity before, a quick overview. In the bottom section of the screen, we have our project view. This is where all your assets live on your computer. On the left is your hierarchy, and on the right is your inspector, where you can configure properties. Most of the fun stuff happens in the middle, which is the canvas. So first, what is a live NFT? Right now, we're looking at a blank canvas, but let's take a look at what a live NFT actually looks like. So I'm going to jump over back to here. And here we have a live 3D NFT created in Unity, uploaded to Enklu, now live on the web. And this is where we're going to end up today. Notice that I can actually move around this thing. It's got live dynamic lighting. So unlike static or pre-rendered NFTs, you can actually embed this within a metaverse and make it more fun for interacting with your players or audience members. All right. So by the way, if you have any questions, we can answer them along the way. I'll be checking chat as we go. So please feel free to post them, and I'll be happy to address them. Okay. So this is where we're going to end up. Let's go back to where we're starting. Now that we're in Unity, let's start off with a basic asset. You can use anything you want. I happen to have opened up a cool new package from the asset store earlier. It's called Deconstructed Sculptures. I'm going to start there, and I'm going to go with something a little bit similar to what I just have. I'll make it a little bit different because I want to do this live. So I'm going to drag this into the canvas, and here it is right here. This is the source that I'm going to use, and I'm actually going to just quickly bring it over into my project by dragging it from the hierarchy into the project. In Unity, this creates a prefab, and this is what we're going to need to make it uploadable and live on the internet. So I'm going to name this Hello World, and I'm going to go ahead and save my project, save my scene. And then now I need to export it and make it available for the web. So now is where we need to install Enklu Embedded if we have not already done so. So quick jump back to the web. Enklu Embedded is Enklu's product, which enables you to link and host live Unity prefabs and 3D content within other Unity scenes. It's great for distributing your assets to end users, and it's also great for connecting different metaverses. So you can either do it through the Unity package if you're on the expert side, or through the installer. I highly recommend using the installer. It is much easier. It'll take a few minutes. So imagine we're in a cooking show and I just put some cookies into the oven and then pulled some freshly baked cookies out of the oven. We're going to jump back to Unity where that's already installed. So in consideration of time, we're going to jump right into the packages which were already pre-installed for me. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to log into Enklu so I can upload this asset and export it directly for the web. So I'm going to search for an Enklu volume in my scene, in my packages to be specific. I'm going to drag that into the scene, and this allows me now to log into my Enklu account. So if you've not yet created your Enklu account, go ahead and do that. It's a quick setup. And while you're doing that, I'm going to search for my Enklu password. All right, now I'm logged into Enklu, and I can start adding these objects to a scene live and making them available on other metaverses. So I'll start by grabbing this asset that we already exported as a prefab back to my assets directory. Here is Hello World. Now I'm going to use the Enklu toolbar up here and upload to Enklu Cloud. Bring this window over here. So I want to, this is all correct. This is the correct user. This is the correct asset, Hello World. And what this is going to do is it's going to either upload it directly to the cloud or export it. So I'm going to export it, and then I'll actually show us dragging it into Enklu, because that way you can understand how it works from directly in Unity. And if you have an external asset like an FBX, you might have downloaded from TurboSquid, for example. So I'm going to export this, hop into my exports directory. Full of assets. Enklu exports. See, here's my export right here. Now I need to bring it into Enklu Cloud. So yeah, this is complete. And now we're going to go into Enklu Cloud. So back to the web again. And here we are. I'm going to log into Enklu. I'm going to create a new scene. Log in. And let's do a new experience. What Enklu is doing for us in this context, it's actually providing a cloud hosting solution so that I can upload this asset and then distribute it to other end users in real time. We will, much like Google Docs, you drag and drop and it's ready to go right out of the gate. I'm going to give this scene a second to load. And while that's happening, I'm going to think of a clever name. Since we are in our second series here, I'm going to call this 0002. As the second NFT we're creating in this series. So while we're waiting for this to load up, I've got a lot of windows going on right now. A quick preview of subjects we're going to be covering in future sections. So today, we're creating a live NFT, and we'll be bringing it to life with fun animations. In the new year, we're going to be showing you how to mint an NFT on the popular exchanges and integrate with popular protocols. We're going to be showing you how to integrate your NFTs with popular devices like the Oculus Quest and the HoloLens. We're also going to be showing you how to turn an NFT into a dynamic experience with interactions and narrative. And then the next in our series that we've located is the licensing in Web3 and how NFTs provide a new opportunity for content and IP owners to generate new revenue streams. All right, so we're good to go here. So what we're going to do now is upload that asset. So I'm going to go back to my exports directory. And here's my Hello World asset that I exported from Unity. I'm going to drag it right over here and upload that directly. That's 86 megabytes. So that's going to be, it's going to take a little bit of time. It's not going to be immediate, but it's going to go pretty quick. And then while that's happening, let's see, we are going to start thinking about some of the critical considerations for metaverses and NFTs today. So if you're not familiar, Enklu's mission is to empower creators of the open metaverse. What we're here to do is help make it easy for folks who are building these things to distribute their content and to integrate with other ecosystems. We believe in the emergent power of creativity that comes from diverse perspectives of creators all around the world doing different things. The last thing we would want to do is create a walled off garden like some other platforms are trying to do. And instead, we're going to focus on interoperability, the ability to take one set of assets from one platform and integrate them in others. That's what made the web awesome. And that's what we believe is going to make the metaverse awesome as well. Okay, so we're now uploading that asset. What's happening right now is it's processing it in the cloud and making it ready for all the other platforms that might need to use it. First one is going to be the web. Then we'll also see platforms like mobile and today, and then Unity today, and the HoloLens and the Oculus device in the new year as we do that. Now, you don't have to wait. If you want to go check out how to build these things for the Oculus or the HoloLens today, go to our YouTube series and hit follow and subscribe so that you can get updates. We've got 2 awesome video series up there, specifically one for getting up and running on Oculus and another for getting up and running on the HoloLens, and many more to come soon. So while this is uploading, I'm going to start with a dummy asset. This is something that'll allow me to start playing around while I'm waiting for my actual asset to process. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to use a primitive. Primitives are something that game developers have been using for decades to help rapidly prototype and try out new ideas. So I'm going to create a cube in my scene to make it easy for me to kind of visualize how this might all work. So here's my cube. It's just hanging out right here in the middle of my screen. And I'm going to move it around a little bit, give it a little bit of rotation. The controls are pretty familiar if you've ever used anything like Maya, 3D Studio Max, or Unity, maybe a little bit more simplified. So I can move my camera with my left mouse button, sorry, my right mouse button. I can pan and scroll the camera with my middle mouse button. I can zoom in and out by scrolling the middle mouse button. And then I can move left and right, up, down like a first-person shooter by holding the right mouse button. All of these things make it easy to kind of navigate my screen without needing to know too much about 3D technology. So here I am. Now my asset has been uploaded. So I'm going to go ahead and take a look at it in my, there it is. Hello world is ready to go. So now this is ready to go for other people. I'm going to go ahead and upload it to the scene. And I'm going to zero out the rotation so it shows up like I'd expect it to. And while that's low, there it is. We have an asset. It's coming to life. One thing to consider here is how do we want this to show up in different metaverses? Right now, we've got it with kind of bright lighting, and it'll probably work pretty good in a brightly lit scene. But if we wanted a little bit more ubiquitous and maybe less specific to this one scene, we might want to change the lighting a little bit. But we'll get to changing the lighting animation in just a little bit. What we're going to do right now is make this basic metaverse available for other people. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to click the share button. What I immediately do is share this with other users. Just like Google Docs, I could type in a colleague's email like steph@enklu.com, and then she can come check out my metaverse and edit it right along with me. I'm going to invite her and see if she shows up to play. Now, I'm also going to publish the experience so folks who are not Enklu users can get access to this. So I just publish the experience, and this gives me a link, which I can then share. I'm going to go ahead and type it right in the browser and go ahead and post it to chat so you all can get access to that too. And just like that, we've made our metaverse accessible via the internet. So this is going to take a minute to load because this is a pretty beefy asset. And while that's loading, I'm going to start thinking about other ways in which I'd like to augment this particular NFT. Some of the things that are great about real-time NFTs is that you can have dynamic interactions. These are things like lights that change as you move around or based on some other parameter like time or the camera position. You can have dynamic particle effects, things that respond to gravity or forces. These are all some of the advantages of NFTs that go into the metaverse that you can unlock when you start combining the power of platforms like Unity and Enklu. So here we are, we're getting ready to load. And as this is going, next thing we're going to start doing, oh, there we are. That's pretty big. That's right in front of my face. So we might want to play around with the sizing of that. But I can also navigate around this to my leisure. Oh, I think I just navigated a little bit too far. So I'm not sure where that went, but I think I just zoomed right there. It is. There's my NFT. So I can actually move around this. So now I've got a live NFT that I could link on a popular exchange. As I mentioned, we're going to show you how to do that in a follow-up episode. For right now, we'll leave that as an exercise for the more advantageous creators out there. If you want to add a link to an existing NFT, you could do that today. But here we have a live dynamic 3D NFT. That's cool, but what if we want to take it a step further? But before we add too much to it, I do want to highlight something else, that this is interop through the web, but what if we wanted to make this available in Unity? Like I mentioned, we want to connect this with other metaverse platforms. How about we jump back into Unity to show you how to do that? All right, so if you were wondering what this Enklu volume was for at the beginning of this experience, now we're going to show you what. So here's the source asset. It's in the Unity hierarchy right now as a single asset. It's a dynamic, or it's a non-dynamic asset placed in this hierarchy. So what I'm going to do real fast is delete that. Oh, where'd it go? We're going to bring it back in by using the Enklu volume, but this time it's going to be a live updated version. And this time it's going to be something that could be updated without you needing to touch a prefab or anything in Unity for all your end users of your Unity application or metaverse. So what we can do is we can select the experience we'd like to use. And in this case, we're going to go to 0002. And then as we start this up, this will then pull in the data. It's going to automatically download it, just like a content distribution network. So if you're familiar with how the web works, when you upload 2D assets to a website, it's not actually pinging a server somewhere for those assets. It's using a content distribution network, or CDN, to make sure that the bandwidth for those assets is not too severe. Oh, I think I linked the wrong one, but you get the picture. So here's another NFT that I'm kind of jumping the gun here. This is going to be for a yet to be announced project of one of our creators. So you're going to sneak preview of it right now. And this is using some pretty cool features right here. This is using some audio and some particle effects. So how about we go show you how to do that? So I'm going to go exit back out of Unity, and we're going to jump into Enklu again and show you how to bring one of these things to life. So let's go back into the source right here. And let's start by bringing the lighting to something a little bit more interesting. So I'm going to go ahead and exit out. I'm not going to exit out of it yet. What I'm going to do is I'm going to turn off all the lights. Let's keep it simple. Where did it go? So now it's dark canvas and there's no lighting. So there's nothing to highlight the edges of my 3D object. Now, if you're familiar with cinematic concepts like 3-point lighting, you'll recognize what a key and a fill and backlight are. High level overview, key light is the primary light that's going to light up your object and then draw attention to the key curves and silhouettes that you're looking to. Fill is going to be an opposite of that. That's still primary, but not as direct, which helps give you a good two-sided silhouette. And the backlighting is going to get those like fairy tale highlight edges on the back of your object. What we're going to do today is actually bring that whole concept to life with 3 rotating lights. So what I'm going to first do is create a pivot. So a pivot allows me to easily animate a light. And after I name it pivot, what I'm going to do is I'm going to bring the key light and I'm going to bring it under the pivot so I can start animating that. And then I'm going to turn my pivot light back on. There it is, but you see it's still a directional light. So I'm going to go ahead and turn that into a point light. And I am going to turn off some of these browsers because it's definitely bogging down my machine right now. I don't want to run out of memory while I'm giving this presentation. Okay, so I turned the intensity to 5 and the range to 5, but you see it's still kind of hanging out down there where it's not really lighting the object too much. So what we're going to do is we're going to push this object to the side. We're going to move this about 2 meters to the right. Actually, that's 2 meters in front. I'm going to move it 2 meters to the right and push it back up in front. There it is. Now it's showing up over here. I also want to give it like a color that's maybe a little bit more distinct. So and again, back to the games in Hollywood, we would call this high contrast lighting, where we're really starting to see different colors on different sides of the object. All right, cool, but it's not moving yet. How do we make it move? Well, now we're going to use a simple script that comes in the Enklu public library. And I won't have to code anything at all right now. I'm going to use the spin script. This is one of the most basic scripts that does simple animation. It does a number of different things depending on the context. But for today, we're going to rotate this light around the pivot. Basically, like imagine having a tennis ball, you're holding it with the string and you're kind of spinning it around yourself as you go. And the way we do that is by giving it some spin speed. So the y-axis is the up and down axis. Right now it's spinning very slowly. If you're paying super close attention, you can see it actually happening. But I'm going to speed it up a bit. I'm going to give it a speed of 10. And lo and behold, we can start to see it actually spinning. So I'm going to also spin it. Now this is just rotating it around the y-axis. What if we wanted to give it a little bit more motion? we could give it some spin around the z-axis, which is front and right. That's kind of like rolling like you're in a jet. You're kind of going back and forth sideways like that. And then the x-axis, this is if you're tumbling. This is if you're kind of going head over feet. And if we do all these together with different spins, I'm going to do 6 meters or 6 angular degrees per second, 10 angular degrees per second, and 8 angular degrees per second. And what this is going to do is it's going to give us a nice kind of organic motion that feels like it's wandering pleasantly throughout the scene. So this is cool. We're starting to get some wandering light. It's actually starting to bring some visual complexity to this object. But what if we didn't want to stop there? What if we wanted to keep going? I'm going to duplicate that. And now we've got 2 pivots, but they're the same light color. So let's kick it up a notch. Let's go with blue. So we've got 2 different colors, but it's probably pivoting at the exact same position. So let's start by giving it a little bit different of an orientation. So instead of starting off separate on the y-axis, we're going to start separate from the z-axis. So the first one is like the x-axis is like my ball of string is out to my right side. This one, my ball of string is like in front of me. And then we're going to kind of like spin around and rotate these lights around me like this. And you can see it's already starting to create some interesting emergent visual phenomenon. So what I'm going to do is play with the rotation speeds. This is a common trick if you want to get kind of regular oscillations or harmonic patterns, which is great for an NFT because then it'll loop effectively. So right now it's rotating with the exact same patterns. What I'd like to do is make it maybe a little bit offset so they don't rotate in the exact same frequency, but they overlap every now and then. So I'm going to switch the numbers here. I'm going to give a 10 for the x-axis. I'm going to go with 6 for the y-axis, and maybe I'll go -6. And then instead of 8, I'm going to go with 4. What this is going to do is it's going to make it so they're still nice and organic and kind of doing these cool overlaps, but it's going to mean they're not exactly on the exact pattern. It's going to be like every 60 rotations, they're actually going to line up perfectly, which is going to give you a lot of dynamic rotation. So I can stare at this thing for a while, and it won't actually look like the same thing twice. So I'm going to do this one more time. Just give it a little bit more dynamic motion. So this time I'm going to do an orange light, or we can call it like maybe a gold light. And similarly, I'm going to give it a new offset. This time we'll push it in the opposite direction of the other lights. And we'll again adjust the pivot. So if the first time we did 10 or 8, 10, and 6, I think this time we'll do 4, we'll go opposite direction, and then we'll go 12, speed that one up a bit. And then here we'll do maybe a -8. So we're starting to get some interesting overlap here. All right. Here we are. Now we're starting to get some interesting motion here. And again, we haven't done too much other than just add some lighting, but all of a sudden it's coming to life. If we remember what the first one looked like, there was also some other interesting things going on. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to create a pivot for the actual NFT itself. I want that bad boy to be rotating just like some sort of mythical object of legend. So I'm going to go ahead and move this object underneath that pivot in the hierarchy. What that does, it's kind of like sticking one object to another. So I'm like gluing this object to that object. And I'm also able to control the offset. So I'm going to go ahead and move it down a little bit so it's rotating from its center. I'm going to move that same exact script that I was using for the lights over to this object. So I'm going to use the script. It's in my public scripts right here. I'm going to drag it on over to the scripts window right here. And then there we have it. It's starting to rotate. Now it's starting to look almost like an NFT. But we want to make a premium NFT. These are for VIP users of some new awesome metaverse, and we need to make sure it really pops. How do we do that? Well, common things in the games industry are to add particle effects or audio to really add layers of dynamic motion or help highlight certain aspects of your art and help the user's eyes kind of flow in a specific direction. So we're going to do exactly that. What I'm going to do now is create a new asset. Oh, no, we do not want to delete that. Funny story, when we were first building this platform, we had a major exhibition. It was 2017, and about 2 hours before folks showed up, I was wearing a HoloLens headset, and me and our founder were sitting there in the exhibit waiting for people to file in, and I put on the headset, and it was like a little hitch in the frame rate. All of a sudden, I heard the activation sound that we trigger when a button goes off, and then the entire 3D scene disappeared. like, what's going on? And then my heart dropped through my feet when I realized that I accidentally deleted the entire scene. And we were such an early startup at this point, we did not have any user shields that double checked if you're supposed to be deleting something when you do. So unfortunately, I deleted the whole scene, and we had 2 hours before people were going to show up. So I actually went out into the alley, sat down, and started thinking like, well, what am I going to do in 2 hours? Because we've got a ton of people that want to see this thing. And my first thought was, well, I can just kind of like do an Emperor's New Clothes sort of thing where I have something really simple and hope that no one notices that it was made in the last hour or two. And while I'm trying to race through all the potential options of kind of finding my way out of this pickle I put myself in, fortunately, founder comes out and says, you know what? Our co-founder comes out and says, we had a HoloLens that was not attached to the internet. And we were able to get the data off that one. So we're going to reload on all the other devices, and we'll add a user shield in there so you don't accidentally delete things. So thank you for doing that. We just saved the presentation again. Slight diversion aside, let's go add some particle effects. Okay, so I'm a sucker for sparkles. I love when something sparkles. In the video game, it usually means, come look at me, I'm something important. So I'm going to add some sparkles on the inside of this. And, oh, wow. Yeah, this does look like there's something important going on in here. So cool. That's a good start. I'm actually call them sparkles. Then let's add some something to ground it so that we feel like it's existing as part of this universe and kind of not separate from it. So there's a bunch of awesome standard particle effects in the Enklu standard asset library you can play around with, or you can actually upload your own. You can upload them directly from Enklu. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to find one of them in there. I think it's called distortion that I played around with a while ago. Yeah, there it is. Let's see how this works. Ooh, yeah. I'm going to make that a little bit bigger. I'm going to scale that up. And yeah, this thing is turning into an intradimensional NFT here. So quick note, now we've got this running in Enklu. Let's go back to our version of it running in the cloud. Daniel asks, hi, what is the role of Unity here? If we're using just 3D assets on this presentation, why not do it from Blender or any 3D editor? You can absolutely export FBX, OBJ, and a host of standard file formats to Enklu Cloud. You could, and a lot of our users do that. We like providing different access points. Where Unity is useful is, let's say you have a Unity project. You're already working on a large Unity-based game or metaverse, which many folks are. Right now, it's very difficult for them to integrate with the web or distribute their content effectively. Enklu enables them to host embedded volume in that, kind of like a dynamic cube where content's going to show up from how you upload it. But to answer your question, Daniel, you can absolutely upload an FBX or OBJ here if you wanted to just go straight to Enklu. The goal of working through Unity is to bridge existing workflows, because there's, I think, a little bit over a million active Unity developers per day, and a surprising number of Unity end users out there. I've heard numbers very high that I don't want to misquote myself on, but there's most of the people that are experiencing 3D metaverses today are experiencing them through Unity. So providing an easy onboarding for Unity developers is a great way to bridge different Unity metaverses. But let's say you just have your own FBXs or OBJs or Blender exports, you can totally export them and upload them directly into Enklu. Great question. All right, so I'm going to jump back into that link to see what it looks like on the web and see if we need anything else. And then while that's happening, I'm also going to open my Enklu mobile app so I can see what this thing looks like in the real world. One thing that's great about 3D NFTs, you can actually embed them into the real world and see what they look like. First, I'm gonna have to copy this in a space where I can find it. So let's do that while this is loading. And for folks that are following along, you can re-update that link and you'll see all those changes I just made, which highlights one of the benefits of having a cloud-native live content updated ecosystem. Okay, cool. So it's looking like what we'd expect it to look like. It's not showing up at the right scale or size that we want it to. So maybe that's the next thing we do, is we kind of position it in an area that makes sense for how people are going to actually see it for the first time. So I'm going to go ahead and push this out a little bit. We're going to push it forward in the Z direction. That means pushing it away from the camera. So I'm going to move this maybe 2 meters out this way, and then maybe scale it a little bit. And because I really like sparkles. I don't feel like we've got enough. I'm going to go find some sparkle assets that really give it that extra layer of specialness. Let's go with a star field. That's fun. Oh, and I mentioned one last thing. Let's say we wanted to add audio to this. I'm going to go ahead and add an audio asset so that this is multi-sensory NFT. How many buzzwords can I fit into a single sentence? Okay, and I've got my browser muted, I think, so I have no idea what that one sounds like, but I think it's going to be cool. I'm going to reload this to see where it ends up, and then open this in mobile while that's loading up. So we're loading 2 different metaverses. And that's one of the cool things about Enklu is it's kind of a bridge into the metaverse from whichever access point you need it. That's what we built it for, to make it easy for folks who are trying to get started, have a simple onboarding into the many access points you might want into the metaverse. And here we are. So let's see if I can share you this one. I did not get my scene set up, but maybe you can see that over here. There is my NFT in the mobile device. So I'm going to go ahead and screenshot that. That's fun. And then here we go. Now we've got our 3D NFT. Maybe it's a little bit too low on the camera, so I'll do one final adjustment and then call it for the day that we're 30 minutes in. So next time around, put those sparkles back. Next time around, we're going to talk about minting these and uploading them to popular exchanges. And we're going to, let's see, what else we got on the docket? We're going to talk about integrating your NFTs with immersive devices like the Oculus and the HoloLens, as I discussed. We're going to talk about making your metaverses interactive with buttons, narrative, and triggers, and then some very special announcements coming too. Thank you for joining us again. This is going to be our last live show for 2021. We'll be back in 2022, and have a happy holidays. All, if you have any questions, I'll stick around for a few minutes and chat. Otherwise, tell us what you think. Please reach out, ray@enklu.com. Happy to answer any specific questions. And please follow us on YouTube. Let us know what you'd like to see next time around in the comments.